Good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday, January 16th, 2018. It's time for another shop video. And I got a couple quick things today to talk about, even though the workbench is empty. So we're going to get right to it. First off, I want to mention that I will probably be doing the third part of the PC power and cooling power supply review shortly. I don't know if it's going to be today, but it will be very soon. It could be as soon as tomorrow. And as soon as that's up, all the subscribers will be notified about that. The one other thing I did want to talk about today is a little tip. If you operate a small to medium-sized business, and this is directed at you, larger, small business owners with a network, especially if the network is a Windows domain-based network, i.e. Windows 2003 server, 2008 small business server, 2011 server, 2012 server, 2016 server. The worst thing that you can possibly do is allow your network to go without maintenance. Computer networks of that kind of size need periodic maintenance and updates to stay running. In the process, I've talked about before that I have a new business client. What I have to do with this particular business client is I have to clean up a mess. And the mess was caused by them not having an IT guy for 5 years. I am not even going to get into on this video everything that I'm going to have to do in a single video. I'll talk about it more in upcoming videos. But it's a lot of work, and it's going to be a huge amount of work, and I don't even, at this point, I can't even see the light at the end of the tunnel. This is all because the network has gone without periodic maintenance for 5 years. And when you have a network of that size that doesn't get maintained, little problems build up. And little problems, when they build up, they can become big problems. And after they become big problems, it's very costly to get those big problems corrected, and it takes multiple visits and many hours of work to correct all of the built up issues that build up when a network of that size hasn't had maintenance. The moral of the story is that for you people in this position, if you have a network that's running fine, but hasn't had maintenance in, say, a year, couple years, because you don't have a good guy, you want to call me, and you want to talk to me about it, and you want to get me in your office as soon as you can to have me get you caught up on this maintenance before little problems turn into big problems. If you're not there yet and you're having a network maintained and you're not happy with the IT guy for whatever reason, please give me a call. Don't let your network go without the periodic maintenance, because this is when trouble starts. If you own a computer network that's in trouble, give me a call, and I will get in there and I will clean it up as quickly as I can and as inexpensively as I can. I'm not going to use the word cheap, because to be honest, Once a network of that size turns into a mess from lack of maintenance, it's not necessarily a cheap process. It's an inexpensive process, and depending on the size of the mess that is involved, it's not necessarily inexpensive either. Let me rephrase. It would be cheaper to have me do the work than it would be to have another IT company do the work that charges more standard, i.e. 110 per hour to 160 per hour rate versus my 65 an hour rate for field work. And tomorrow I do believe we will be closed due to a impending snowstorm. Hopefully tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon I should be able to get things cleaned up enough to where people can come back in again. I will let everybody know when that happens. And with that, I bid everyone adieu. As always, feel free to rate, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you like. Let me know what you don't like. We can always make improvements in the videos. I will see everyone soon. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. Okay, everybody. It's Thursday, February 1st. And it's time for another shop video. I got a few little updates. And I want to expound a little bit on the big job that I'm doing and talk more about why it's important that you not let your network go without maintenance. Let's get right to it. We got this little laptop over here which the owner brought in with a list of things. It's a brand new laptop. It needed some organization and some programs installed and a little bit of data moved and a little bit of cleanup on a couple things. It needed a little bit of everything. He brought it in because he's in Cancun this weekend, so it's a good time to bring it in. And I have a lot of homeowners and business owners that bring these computers in on the weekend or when they're going on vacation when they need a lot of stuff done. So they are not worried about being without their computers for an extended length of time. The other item I have, which I don't have here yet, is my other attorney. I actually do work for 3 attorneys. One of my other attorneys, who's also a tax attorney, is bringing in his computer for me to install the new tax software on it for 2018 tax season, and that will be here tomorrow night. So I may do another video on that as the time when the time comes. The third thing that I wanted to talk about is I wanted to get into a little more about the big network that I talked about in the last video. Basically, the owner gave me 3 tasks to do. The first task was that I had to actually build a new machine, which I've talked about in previous videos, because this machine was being built to replace ran Windows XP, which not only is Windows XP no longer supported by Microsoft at this point, Windows XP is also not supported by any web browsers. So if you have Windows XP or Windows Vista, you're not going to be able to surf the internet. That's the bottom line. You're not going to be able to get to any websites because the browsers are so old that they won't support the modern code that's used on modern websites. And we can't install the latest browsers because the new browsers won't install on those old versions of Windows. So I had to build a new machine for him, and it had to be designed to be able to run AutoCAD, which it is. There's actually two machines in this place, and they both run AutoCAD 2011 LT because they're used to draw mechanical drawings of mechanical systems. When I say mechanical systems, for those that don't know, I'm talking about your heating system, your air conditioning system, your water system in a house or an office or wherever. The second task he gave me was I had to actually move their email addressing from one website to another website. This particular company has two websites, one of which is an older site that the owner absolutely hates and wants gone. The second of which is a newer site, which is the site we're going to use. I need to remove the old site from the internet because I need to do search engine optimization for the new site, which can't be done until the old site is gone because the old site ranks number 1 on Google, so we have to get rid of it so it can drop off of Google and the new site can eventually take its place. The first step in doing that was their email is actually hosted in-house. They use Microsoft Exchange, and I had to set up the domain for the new site to point to their email server and then go into the email server and finish the job. That part of the job is now complete. I also have to tutor one of the employees on how to edit the new website, as he really doesn't have any idea. And then after a little while, I have to arrange for the search engine optimization for the new site and get those things done, etc., etc., etc. Which brings me to the third task that he gave me, and that is their file server needs a lot of work. This file server is a domain-based Windows Small Business Server 2008 server. It actually is more than a file server. It also performs a lot of basic networking functions. And like everything else in that network, it hasn't had the maintenance that it needed to have. And a lot of the stuff is really adding up. The three biggest problems are a couple of the hard drives failed, which I'm actually going to replace this Saturday and get them rebuilt. And then there is no antivirus on the network at all because a lot of the antivirus on the machines has expired because of its age. I need to correct that, but just as an example of how this can all start adding up, the antivirus that I need to get all the licenses is going to be well over $1,000. I got estimates of $1,300 for 3 years for the licenses for all the machines, or $1,500 for 5 years. That adds up quick. On top of that, this file server also needs a memory upgrade, and the memory that the file server requires is a special type of memory called registered memory. I'll talk about the differences between regular memory and registered memory later, but the big one that I'm going to talk about now is registered memory is very expensive. I did some pricing this morning, and it's going to be $700 to get the sticks. That is opposed to, maybe, to give you guys an example, if this was non-registered memory and smaller capacity, it would probably be maybe $80 to $100 to get 3 sticks, depending on the exact size and specifications of the RAM. So 100 and 700 is quite a big difference. And all of this stuff is going to add up. And unfortunately, because there was no maintenance for 5 years, it's all piled up into one huge mountain of stuff that has to be done. So again, for your small to medium business owners, you don't want to let this stuff pile up into a huge thing, because if you do, it's going to wind up costing you a lot of money and or possible lost data. Fortunately, the hard drives that I have to replace are involved in a RAID 1 array, which basically creates a backup of each drive on the fly. They can function if one drive fails in the array, but they cannot function if both drives in the array fail. And the reason these hard drives are being replaced is because one of the hard drives in the RAID array has failed. There's 2 arrays, and one drive has failed in each of the arrays. So I have to replace 2 hard drives and then reestablish the connection between the drives and copy the data from the drive that's working to the drive that's brand new. Also, the server room needs a lot of cleanup and determining what everything is and why it's there and does it have to be there, etc., etc., etc. It's a lot of work, and it's a lot of labor, and it's a lot for a business to do all at once. This is why I'm putting this out there for the small to medium businesses, that they need to not get into this position if they can at all help it. If you have an IT guy that's not responding to your maintenance needs like this particular business did, you want to call me, and you want to call me right away as soon as you discover a problem, because you don't want that then minor issue to become a major issue down the road and then have to deal with it all at once. That's not good. Also, I'm going to be making some other posts. There's a school locally here, about an hour from here, that I've just read has banned all cell phone use in their high school. Good for them. I don't think I've ever done a video regarding my stance on kids and teenagers having cell phones, smart or dumb. I will have to do that one of these days, to be honest, because I could give you all an earful. I think that will cover it pretty much for today's video. As always, rate, comment, subscribe. If you like what you see, let me know. If you don't like what you see, let me know that too. We'll see what we can do to make improvements. I'm going to try to do videos more frequently because I've been told that I really need to do these every day in order to get the YouTube channel built up. For those that don't know about the YouTube channel, some of you on Facebook might not, please comment and let me know you want the link, and I'll give you the link. I will see everyone hopefully tomorrow. I'm going to try to do a video. I'll see everyone soon. Talk to everyone later. Bye-bye. Good morning. Actually good afternoon. It's Sunday, February 11th. And I said earlier last week on Facebook that I was going to try to make these videos more frequently as they are catching on. And I've been doing some research, and I've found out that the more frequent you post videos up on YouTube, the faster the channel will catch on. So let's see if that actually happens. I need to give everybody an update on the Big SMB job that I've been working on. In the last video, I was talking about going to do some work on the hard drives that were in the server, which are in what's known as a RAID array. RAID stands for Redundant Array of Independent Disks. It is a means of, among other things, it is a means of allowing data to be backed up across two disks, and both disks work to create the array, and data is backed up on the fly. This is actually a great setup unless you run into a situation where, because of lack of maintenance, the array gets into such a state that you can't rebuild it before the entire array fails. When an array fails, we call it breaking the array. Once the array breaks, all the data that was on that array is lost. Unfortunately, this is what happened on Saturday. The plan was to go in and replace the two drives that had originally failed. And they had been in a failed state for a very long time due to lack of maintenance on the part of the former IT guy of this particular facility. I actually went to replace one of them, and while I was literally in the middle of replacing the first failed drive, the drive in this particular RAID array that was still good failed. This action broke the array and forced me to restore the data from backups they had. Now, I was able to replace the failed drive in the second array just by the skin of my teeth. Once you insert a new drive into an array, the controller software will automatically detect this, and it will start the rebuilding process, which happened with the second array. The second array rebuilt, and then the remaining drive that was good in that particular array failed, which was a problem because I was prepared to replace 2 drives, not 4. I was able to secure 2 additional drives thanks to a good buddy of mine, and I was able to get these drives into the machine to temporarily restore the arrays to health until I could get 2 additional replacement units, which I did get, and they are now in the server. The issue that we have now is that the backups that I had to use to restore the data on the array that broke are a little bit old. And they're actually a little bit too old, so we're in the process of searching for newer backups, which I'm not sure if they're going to be available or not. The previous IT guy, he did not maintain the equipment correctly. What he does is he basically allows things to break, and then he replaces the entire computer in one shot, which is a horrible way of doing things, to say the least. I did say in one of my actually in my very first video on this particular SMB job, that your SMB computer systems need periodic maintenance in order to stay running. This is a good example of what happens when they don't get that maintenance. On top of all that, what you have here is your typical business owner that really doesn't know much about their IT systems, which unfortunately, this is not an isolated case. It happens all the time. And then, on top of that, when the owner and I discussed the situation, and we decided to try to contact the original IT guy to see if more recent backups could be located than what I was seeing on my monitor, he was called, and I was told that he doesn't respond to phone calls. Well, to my surprise, about an hour later, he did respond to this particular phone call, and I did speak with him, and I got on the phone, and the very first thing he says to me is that I have an active service contract with Business X. Oops. Which I'm going to actually end this video here, because this brings me into service contracts, and that's a whole nother separate video which I will be actually taking today, but it's not going to be in the same file. So I will see everyone in a few minutes. Okay, everyone, we are back, and for those of you that just saw the last video, this is the service contract video. If you did not see my latest SMB update video on this SMB job, go back and view that video before you view this one, so you'll understand where this one is coming from. In this video, we're going to discuss IT service contracts. Now, we're going to start off with a little disclaimer here. I am not an attorney. If you do have any questions regarding a service contract that you're in with your IT company and you don't understand things that are in your contract, please seek the advice of your attorney before you proceed any further. That having been said, the IT industry is extremely contract-based. Pretty much every time you do something, you're signing a contract with an IT company. And there's a myriad of reasons IT companies use service contracts, from reasons of accounting, to reasons of keeping competitors away, to reasons of making sure an IT company has a job for a certain number of years. And yes, I said years. Most of these service contracts can stretch on for years. One thing, however, is for certain. These service contracts are not for the benefit of the customer at all. They are strictly there for the benefit of the IT company in question. As I said in the last video, this particular SMB was still under a service contract with their previous IT company, and I was not aware of it, which means that a whole bunch of things have to happen before I really can continue with this particular SMB job. I won't really have any updates on this until sometime on Monday. And as soon as I do have updates, I will produce a video explaining everything that happens. I am also putting this SMB series together in one large video so that when this is all done and over with, I can produce a large video that SMBs can use to educate themselves on things to avoid and questions to ask. Now, service contracts stretch on for, in most cases, a period of years. And while you're under the service contract, you cannot bring in anyone else to do work that's covered in the scope of work that's in the service contract until either one of two things happen. One, the service contract expires. Two, you have gotten out of the service contract because the previous IT company messed up in some way, shape, or form. These are the two ways out of most service contracts. Now, again, I'm not an attorney. If you have any questions about your service contract, please seek the advice of an attorney. Which brings me to my next point. Most of your SMBs, in fact, most businesses in general, when they sign the service contract, they don't usually even read the service contract. Sometimes they don't even have a copy of the service contract. If this applies to you, I'm going to suggest that you do one thing immediately, and that's stop what you're doing, call your current IT provider, request a copy of the service contract, and then when you receive the service contract, you want to read the contract end to end, including and especially any small fine print that is in it. You need to understand what is in your service contract backwards and forwards. Many IT companies will use these contracts to hide small little details in the fine print that can bite you later. I will talk about an example of this that I've heard of. Another buddy of mine who now lives in Boston was telling me a story one day of a town in Connecticut that he had knowledge of. I don't know what town this is. What happened was that they had just signed a service contract with an IT provider to do business for the town. and the rate that they were being charged was $25 per hour. And they got several bills at this rate. I think it was probably 6 months worth of bills or a year's worth of bills, but it was definitely a few months. Then all of a sudden one day they get the next invoice and they're being billed at a rate that is well over $100 per hour. Whoa. What the heck happened here? The town representative calls up the IT firm and asks them what the heck's going on, and the IT firm goes, "Did you guys look at your contract?" They go, "No." And the IT firm then explains that if they go look at their contract, there is a clause in fine print. And when I say fine print, this was literally an 8-point font. There's a clause in the fine print that states that the $25 an hour rate is an introductory rate. After a certain period of time, which has now expired, the rate will increase to the standard final rate that the town is going to pay. And at the end of this conversation, they basically said, and by the way, keep in mind that we have access to your systems and all of your passwords, and we can change them at will. Yeah, this was a veiled threat. I don't know what happened to this town, but depending on the way this particular service contract was written, they might have been stuck. The moral of the story here is, if you don't know what's in your service contract, or you don't even know if you're under a service contract, which is actually what happened with Business X, I'm going to strongly suggest that you find out today, because knowing this information can protect you from some serious headaches down the road. Also, there's a couple other points here. If you're not satisfied with the current IT guy, I would strongly suggest that, again, if you have not gone over your contract, that you do go over your contract and you look for exit clauses that will let you get out of the contract, see what the exit clauses are, and then begin to plot what your method of escape is going to be if you're not happy. And I'm going to go into this in detail toward the end of this SMB series, which I'm not sure when that's going to be yet, but when it comes, we'll all see it in video. Again, as always, rate, comment, like, subscribe, and I will see everyone next time. See everyone next week. Have a nice weekend. Bye-bye. Hello everyone, it's February 13th. Time for another video talking about goings-on here in the shop. We got rid of a whole bunch of stuff. Pickups. Mainly small jobs. The biggest one was I did a hard drive swap and clone. Installed an SSD in a really big Alienware laptop that just came to be picked up, and still a couple things going on. This laptop over here needs a power block and some other things done to it, and we still have this desktop with the lack of memory, or with the memory issue, and I believe it's going to get all its memory changed. I have to discuss it with the customer, because I was actually just able to replicate the problem here in the shop again. So now I know there's a memory issue. The big thing that I want to talk about on this video is that yesterday I received the official confirmation from the Big SMB Job that yes, in fact, as I explained in the last two videos, that yes, in fact, I have lost that job. And with that, I want to go over some tips for you small business owners that you can use to help avoid the situation that this particular business had gotten themselves in. First of all, if you don't know if you're under a service contract or not, call your IT company and ask. And if they say yes and you do not have a copy of the service contract, then as I said in the last video on service contracts, you want to get a copy of that contract, and you want to read it, and you want to understand the contract backwards and forwards, because there's details in those contracts that could really affect your business and how much flows out of your business bottom line for information technology costs. Also, if you as a business owner don't understand what's going on with the information technology in your business, you better find out, because that information technology is your lifeblood. The modern business will live or die by whether their computers are functioning or not. And if you're not sure what's going on with your IT assets, that's a recipe for disaster. The best thing to do if you're under a service contract is you should speak with your IT professional about it and see if they will educate you. If they will not educate you, or you don't even understand what they're saying, which is a very common problem, then it's time to get rid of that IT provider, and you want to give me a call, and I'll come in there, and basically what I'll do is I'll dissect what you have for IT assets and then translate everything into English so you can understand what's going on. Also, if you feel that your computers are not being maintained properly, or if there's a lot of problems that aren't getting fixed by your current IT provider, then it's time to get rid of that individual and give me a call. Because as we've seen in the previous videos, lack of maintenance can lead to big trouble. And all computer networks need maintenance. As I said way back in the first segment of this series, hard drives need to be changed for safety's sake every 3 years. A hard drive that's 3 years old or older enters what I call the red zone. Once a hard drive enters the red zone, it can fail in 30 days from now. It can fail in another 3 years from now. Nobody can tell you which. Unfortunately, us IT guys don't have crystal balls. Sometimes I wish we did, but it doesn't work that way. Because of this, you want to make sure that you're changing your hard drives every 3 years, especially if these hard drives that you're changing have a lot of hours on them, such as the hard drives that are located in server computers that run 24 hours a day. you need to also keep your backups up. If you're not sure if your backup system is working, that's another reason to possibly get rid of your previous IT provider. These particular owners didn't even know if their backups were working. They had no idea how to check their hard drives. They had no idea what was going on because none of this had ever been explained to them before. That's just, like I said, that's just a recipe for disaster in a business. And a lot of times, I've seen a couple IT guys, there's absolutely no way that some of these guys can bring something down from computer language R level to regular good old-fashioned human English. It's just not possible for some of these individuals. I happen to be a specialist at it because I've been doing it for so many years. And it's actually a very important skill to have, because if your end customer doesn't understand what's going on, then you as an IT business owner have a real problem. Again, as a small and medium business owner, make sure that you understand what's going on with the IT assets in your business. And if you don't, make sure you find out. What else can I say about this? I'm just doing this off the cuff here. If you're not happy with the pace at which things are getting done in your business, then you might want to have a discussion with your previous IT guy and possibly get rid of him if he's not meeting your needs. And we had actually discussed this in the previous segment. The most important thing that I can tell a small to medium business at the end of the day is that their lifeblood is their computer network. If it fails, they fail. And they don't want to fail. So make sure your computers are getting the maintenance that they need. And if there's any questions, or if you're not sure about anything that I've talked about in these videos, please call me. For those of you watching from just Woodbury, my contact information is going to be at the bottom of the page. I am always open for questions, and if I feel that your questions are raising further issues, I can come in and get those issues addressed to your satisfaction. That is the most important thing in the world, is making sure that the small business owner is comfortable with what's going on in their business. This is going to conclude the small to medium business series on this particular job. I do have another field job investigation that I have to go do on Thursday. I don't expect that job is going to be as big as the job that I just finished talking about. I will be talking about that job in an upcoming video as soon as I have more details. For right now, don't forget, everybody, rate, comment, like, subscribe, and I will see everyone next time. Talk to you all soon. And I appreciate every view, every comment, everything. So please keep them coming. I will see everyone soon. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.